Number 1 Sentai GoZyuger is finally here with its first episode, and oh my god, there's a lot to talk about. So the episode starts off kind of like episode 0, where basically in episode 0 we see all the mechs fighting these robots. They get sent to a void. They're pretty much defeated, but then they give their power to the Sword, who is the mech and also like the god, the titan of all mechs. They turn themselves into stone and give the powers to the Sword. In this, they're fighting what looks like a giant cloud, I assume is some sort of like demon, and then the Sword comes down. They give their powers to him, and they go off into the world. And there's this big scrap heap of mechs. But then the Sword also turns to stone. It goes from its robot mode to its like glove mode. It's basically where the morph is going to end up being, but into that, and it sticks in the top of the top of the pile. I don't know what episode 0 was about, if I'm being honest, because it looks absolutely nothing like what's actually happening. But the concept's still the same, so we had the idea. We then meet our Red Ranger, whose name I struggle to pronounce. I want to say it's Hoiru. I'm probably wrong. Hoiru, but I'll just call him the Red Ranger for now to avoid any confusion. So he basically works at this convenience store that ends up getting robbed. Now, a few people tried to step in. The owner, or at least the guy that is being robbed, tries to step in. There's no luck, he's being held at knife point. There's this guy that the Red Ranger works with who looks kind of familiar to me, but he's a bit useless. He doesn't really do anything. And then the Red Ranger steps in and he's like, look, you need to leave. Doesn't take speaking for an answer. And they start fighting and he finesses the guy. He like kicks him, he slides back through the floor, and he uses like a corn dog or like a hot dog on a stick that's so hot when it gets sliced by the knife, boiling water spritzes out on the guy's face. It was a whole thing. But he defeats the guy, and I'm like, oh, nice. That guy's getting a promotion, surely. He gets fired. I don't know why the act of heroism got him fired, but it did. We then see him at what looks like his home with potentially his little brother and his mother, and we learn that he's constantly going through different jobs, and he can't quite find his place where he fits in the world, and I can see that becoming the theme of the show, to be fair. Him not fitting in, him feeling like he needs to do more. We'll see what happens there. He seems like he has a great relationship with his little brother, or whoever this kid is, which is nice, and maybe that could play into the show. Hopefully that doesn't result in tragedy down the line, but he basically has no faith in his future, which obviously isn't great. He's got a CV, he goes to take it to a new job, but he gets beaten up by some thugs. It definitely seems like this guy's a bit of a wild card. You know, he's Goju Wolf, or at least eventually he'll become Goju Wolf. He's definitely a lone wolf type character. We'll see where that leads over the next 50 or so episodes. We also meet 2 of the bad guys of the season. We have a guy called Fire Candle, which is an insane name, and he, at least for now, seems like he's going to be the big bad, at least of the first 1 or 2 arcs, as Sentai shows tend to do. And somebody called Bouquet, who seems to be the general, and also maybe the leader of these henchmen that we have, which I'm elected to call Bellends. That's obviously not their name, but just so you know, if you're in this channel, if you're in this open space, that's what we're calling them. And it seems they have possession of the Sword. They, in some like sub-realm, sub-dimension, have guard of the pile of mechs and the Sword, which is a bit wild. I don't really know how they've got him. Maybe we'll explore more of that in the future, but that's where it is. But anyway, Tono, Hiro, the Red Ranger, he's a bit sad. He's like, oh, life's a bit shit. I've been fired. I just got jumped, the whole thing. And his friend, who, again, I can't quite place who he is, starts talking to him, and he's basically giving him a bit of a motivational speech. He's like, look, I'm a musician, okay? I play guitar, and I want to deliver my best work to the people. I want to become the #1 musician. And you're like, oh, the #1 musician, I see how this is playing in. And Haru kind of like takes the piss a little bit, takes the mick out of him, but it's all in good faith. He's just like, hey, look, at the end of the day, you do you. Hopefully one day I'll find my place. Now, this is where some shit goes down. A big portal opens in the sky, and this big mech comes out, which has Fire Candle in it. He's piloting it, and also all the cockpits look great in this. We see a little bit of a cockpit later on as well, but I really like the look of him. It looks super cool. This mech comes out and starts shooting fire everywhere. They're smashing through buildings, and the henchmen are appearing, the Bellends, and do I make that a thing? I shouldn't make that a thing. I think I'm going to make that a thing. And I like the way they kind of spawn out of each other. They kind of spawn out like Russian dolls. Like one comes out of a crack in the wall, and then one comes out the other. And you have the silver-headed ones, which are sort of like the general ones. And then you've got the gold-headed ones, which I assume are just going to be like, you know, they're going to be all the same, maybe a bit tougher. Maybe they're the sort of head of the team of henchmen. I don't really know. And so the henchmen are scaring people off. The mech is destroying buildings, and something needs to be done about it. And then the soon-to-be Red Ranger's mate starts getting a bit angry about this, and he's like looking at him and he's like, they shouldn't be doing this. Someone needs to stop him. And what's he's taking his glasses off. What? That's Taya Hando from Boom Boom Joe. What? Yeah, and obviously that was fake. But let me tell you, when I was watching it, I was literally looking at this guy going, what? He looks so much like Taya. So much like Taya. What's going on? The Clark Kent glasses effect, as much as we take the piss out of it in the films, clearly works to some degree. Because I was, for the entire start of the episode, being like, that is wild. And obviously, that isn't Taya Hando, but that is the actor Haruhi Lucia. I'm so sorry. But that is the guy who plays Taya Hando. And he gets up, takes the glasses off, which, you know, the reveal that is him, because that's been clearly seen. Glasses work. And he pulls out one of the GoZyuger rings and a silver Tega sword. He spins it. It's got the King Oja Red Ranger on it. Does the little morphing sequence, and he becomes the Red King Oja. Now, we knew there was going to be other Red Rangers in this. I did not anticipate them bringing old Ranger actors back to be these Red Rangers. Not only that, we've got the actor who plays Taya Hando, who was the Red Ranger from the season that's just finished, in the new season, morphing into a Ranger from the season beforehand. If this is the theme, if all the Red Rangers are going to be random characters but played by actors that we know from Sentai, that is the unique selling point, because the character changes and everything we've seen in GoKaija, we've seen in Zenkaijo, we've seen that. He becomes King Oja Red. Now, we knew they were going to be kind of fighting these Red Rangers, or they'd be appearing. I thought it'd be bad guys, but clearly there's this. It's cool. And obviously that guy said he wanted to be the #1 musician, so they've clearly all got something to fight for. I don't know why him being a ranger. We also don't know how he's got the ring and how he's got the silver Tega sword, or how the Tega swords are coming about. We'll just have to find out, I suppose, in the coming episodes. Maybe we see the Taya Hando show up again. Maybe we do. We'll see what happens there. So anyway, not Taya Hando starts fighting. The bell ends and they're fighting, and it looks quite cool. You know, I haven't got around to watching King Oja yet, but seeing that suit in action is quite fun. So you've got Fire Candle in the mech causing destruction. You've got the bell ends on the floor doing all the fights, and then all of a sudden Hero starts getting involved, but he slips through like a dimensional portal, starts falling, and then it's caught right before he hits the ground, sort of like Loki in Doctor Strange, or in Thor Ragnarok rather. And he is in this like sub-dimension with the mechs and the Tega sword. Now, this is where we meet Bouquet. She's, like I said, the sort of the general so far, it seems, and she's with a bunch of the henchmen. The red GoZyuger ring falls out. A henchman picks it up and instantly gone. Too powerful for them. They disappear. After a bit of conversation, Hiro picks it up and puts it on, and they're like, you're gonna die. But he doesn't. His face gets really red and like weirdly spiky. But he ends up in this sub-dimension of his own mind where he's talking to the Tega sword. Tega sword's giving him a brief background of what's happened, and then he's shown like a weird sort of like demonstration, I guess, of a bunch of Red Rangers. There was a slideshow that had the Dino Rangers on it. We had, I was gonna say Mighty Morphin. We had Jew Ranger, we had Aber Ranger, I think there was Kyoryuja or Rio Soldier on it. Then we had like some, I think it was the bird ones. I definitely remember hearing the Juoja sting of the eagle. We had some of the vehicle ones, and that seems to like come into like a little like piece that he grabs. I don't know whether they're specifically going to be important to the show going forward, or if it was just a random selection of Rangers. I don't know, but that was quite a cool little moment. And that is when he gets the ring and he gets the Tega sword. Now, he is officially clearly bonded or something with the Tega sword, and he goes back into the real world. The Tega sword is there, and he is in the cockpit, and he's ready to fight up against Fire Candle. But what we see is that they get like a cockpit suit, and it looks a lot like the White Dye Ranger. No idea if there was any resemblance there, if there was any like intentional resemblance, I mean, but it's quite a cool suit. So he's demorphed in the Tega sword fight in this guy. This of course results in a retreat, not like a complete death, but the mech that he is in does get destroyed. But here's the thing, the way they show the battle, it's obviously happening in real time in the city, but also we see them in like a fighting ring with like a referee and like supporters and everything, and it just shows this is all about rings. Like, we have the rings, we have the bells, that ring, we have the fighting ring. Maybe Tega sword is meant to kind of play off telephone. Is a bit of a stretch, but I mean, they're clearly going for a theme here. I don't know, it was cool, and the action was cool as well. You know, this is not CG. This is still people in suits. The Tega sword can do loads of transformations. One being into just the hand and start smacking himself up with that. We even see in the cockpit, he transforms the Tega sword into its mech version and puts it in a little holster. So clearly, the toy is accurate. The toy is like, it doesn't just grow then transform. He can literally do that, which is quite fun. But not Hando is getting a pasting down on the ground, so it's time. A little hatch opens in the Tiger Sword, and our hero starts sliding down, doing the clappy henshin morphing sequence. Lands on the ground. We don't see like the void morph henshin like, you know, we get accustomed to, which I'm sure we will get in episode 2 or 3, but we do get what is more or less a quick change, and it looks sick. You see the weird lines drop on his face again, and the circle forms, and the little like gold lines over the shield kind of form over. It's very flush, it's very sleek, and he officially becomes Goju Red. Now straight away he does a howl, and we cut to different shots of the other GoZyugers with their rings on, and it starts vibrating. Now we don't know how yet. I'm sure we'll get into that in the coming episodes, but the other GoZyugers, black, green, yellow, and blue, already have their rings. Whether they've used them yet, whether they've got access to the Tiger Swords, I don't know, but they've got the rings. So that's interesting, but we don't see anything happen in this episode. And then right at the end, we get the credits, but we don't get like a dance sequence or anything. We cut back to not Hando playing the guitar. He goes up to me, he's like, "What was that? Like, I have so many questions." And then not Hando's like, "I have so many questions." But then something flicks in him, and he's like, "I must be number one. I must be number one." He becomes King Oja, get Goju Wolf, and a fight breaks out. And we see that that's going to go into the next episode, where we do get a hint as well of Goju Yellow and Goju Blue. Whether we get green and black in that episode as well, I don't know. But that seems to be the situation. And that is episode 1. Oh, so much to break down. I know I kind of give my thoughts along the way as I spoke about the episode, but the concept of past Red Ranger actors, or just past Sentai actors in general, coming back to play different characters, morphing into different Sentais, is sick. As I said, I'm not even trying to mess with you guys. I was looking at the guy who plays Taya. He looks remarkably like Taya, to the point where I was even like, is that him? Is that him? Because I didn't quite know. And obviously, if that's the theme they're going with, I just didn't know if they had just cast him again and there wasn't actually going to be too much relevance. He was just a side character. This is promising. A lot more into it than I was the first episode of Boom Boom Joe. And that's not to say Boom Boom Joe was bad in the slightest. I'm saying that I really like this as well. There was so much to it. A lot of things yet to be answered, which I'm looking forward to. Obviously, we got 50 episodes or so to come. I'm excited. Looking forward to next week. We will get to see Red and Yellow, it seems. I'm interested to see how they've got their rings already. I'm interested to see where this will go. I'm also interested to see if we are going to get more past actors coming back to play these Red Rangers. The bad guys so far seem quite cool. Fire Candle seems like he's going to be incredible. He did a great first like introduction in this episode. Instantly I was like, this man means business. Bouquet, I don't really know what her role is gonna be just yet, but I'm looking for. She has a full name as well. Hold on. Apparently it's Bouquet the Compassionate. Let me know your thoughts on the first episode of GoZyuger in the comments down below. I'd love to start a discussion. Honestly, there's so much I want to just chat about and to do with this episode, so please feel free to comment. I won't be doing GoZyuger videos every single week. If you keep up with my short form content, there'll definitely be some more GoZyuger content there, and I will be back every 2 to 3 weeks, maybe if it's that good, every week in some form, to talk about this. I'm so excited. I don't think the first episode could have got off to a better start for me personally. I am hooked. I am ready for more, and I'm excited to celebrate the 50th anniversary as well of Super Sentai. I think it's going to be so much fun. Huge thank you and shout out to Sarah Jane, our Super Dino Mode Patreon.